Hello and welcome to the next part of our life. So, last time, we certainly had an unforgettable charity event. By the end of it, I kind of partly accidentally confessed my feelings to cover. And now we are together, so yeah, we'll see how it goes. I'm kind of disappointed that I ruined this will they won't they. But well, better this than if I had finished step 3 and it never happened, then I would have been really sad. Like really sad. I mean, step 4 is coming and all, so it probably would have happened then, but come on, come on. I have a mental time scale timeline already in my head. I want to know, I already know how I want this to go. And I want this to go that in this step Cover confesses his feelings for me, and then in the next step we get engaged. That's what I want. So yeah. So enough of all the talk. Let's just... yeah. Start with talks the next moment. Another placid summer day was drifting by. Your daydreams were chasing each other, none sticking around too long enough to become a firm plan, but you really didn't mind that right now. A tapping worked its way into the streams. Focusing more, you realized it was coming from your window. A grin popped into your face though it had been waiting all day for this moment. Heading to the window, you could see Cover outside. His habit of climbing this way was really a true Cover-ism. He would rather scale your house than wait a couple extra minutes for you to come down. You offered Cover a hand to help him. Once he was mostly inside, he took it to help it steady the last bit of his entrance. He needed the help despite how many times he had done this. Hey, Rina. Hi, Cov. I'm glad you made it into okay. Cover laughed at that, and took one last look at his exclusive entrance. He hummed with a teasing look on his face. Yeah, I think it's pretty impressive that I managed to keep this up without ending up with a new broken bone. Oh no, don't joke about that. Sorry, I'll promise it will be alright. Cover's voice came out quietly, with a strange pleased smile on his face. Did something happen? Well, according to the last part, a lot happened. But well, the timeline isn't like that much perfectly matched up. Cover opened his mouth to answer, only to have your phone vibrating cut him off. You both turned to where it rested a little further up on your bed. It was still face down, so you couldn't tell who was calling. It's okay. Your attention shot back to Cover. He smiled at you awkwardly.
Don't worry about it.
Go check. It could be important. I'll wait. Thanks. You shuffled forward and scooped the little noisemaker into your hand. You flipped it over and checked the caller ID. It's Miranda. Oh, you should answer it. I want to say hi too. With a nod, you accepted the call and set it to speaker. Hi, Miranda. Hi. She had a bit of a higher voice, if I remember right. You know, looking at her like this, she kinda looks like a fairy. With the background and all. Hi. There was something off about her tone. Cover met your gaze, and you saw the same confusion in his expression.
Have you heard from Terry?
Have you heard from Terry at all? Or did you hear about her from Cove? Oh, no, she hasn't called me. But Cove is right with me right now. Hey. Oh, hi, Cove. Is that what you were going to say? He shook his head no, before realizing that it wasn't a good enough answer when one person couldn't actually see it.
No.
No, Terry hasn't called me either today. Is something wrong? At that, Miranda couldn't hold herself together anymore. The muffled sobs from the other side of the line were unmistakable. Terry doesn't like me anymore, if she ever did. What? That doesn't sound right. You're probably her best friend out of all of us. Yeah, why would you think that? She sniffled, and there was a pause as you could hear her shift the phone to her other hand. Terry was here the other night watching movies with me. We were up super late. She realized her parents probably went to bed, so they couldn't pick her up. My mom and dad were definitely asleep then. Dad works early. I tried telling her it was okay to just spend the night and she could text her parents what happened, but Terry didn't really want to. You glanced at Cover. He looked equally unsure as you about where the story was going. It didn't sound like a friendship ending situation. I suggested things to make it easier if she was nervous, like she could sleep by herself in my room while Dad somewhere else. Yeah? And I said we didn't have to sleep at all. We could have kept watching movies until one of our parents woke up. I wouldn't have minded. I know everyone can do sleepovers, but Terry wouldn't even tell me what was really wrong or what I could do to help. I thought we could tell each other anything, guess I was wrong. Did she stay in the end? No, we got too loud in the kitchen and my dad woke up. He offered to drive her home when he heard what was wrong. She texted me apologizing for my dad having to do that when he needed rest, but that was it. She wasn't talking to me anymore. You could hear every bit of the tears and heartbreak in Miranda's voice. This continued to be a shock for your neighbor, but Cover recovered and spoke gently. I'm really sorry. There's no way Terry wanted to make you feel this bad. Or she's just done with your friend... Or that she's done with your friendship because of this. Miranda's snuffling continued. You hoped you had plenty of tissues handy. It isn't a big deal, honestly. We'll be okay. It had to be. You couldn't imagine any alternative. Miranda's voice sounded a little bit more collected after finishing her story, but you knew that the crying was far from being done. I thought that she had reached out to you by now. Maybe she's not talking to anyone. Yeah. Sorry for bothering you and Cover about this. You're not bothering us. Right, you can tell us things. Thank you. Her shaking voice finally conveyed a little optimism, or at least relief that she wasn't dealing with it entirely on her own. If you hear from her anything, could you let me know if she's alright? We can. Thanks. Let's talk later, okay? Bye. 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 That didn't really seem like an especially productive point to end the call, though you also weren't sure where to go from there. Looking to Cove, his face seemed as lost as yours. With no alternative, you hung up and put your phone back on your bed. Cove crossed his arms, the frown increasing his face. He began to pace the length of your room, clearly trying to put the pieces together in his head in a way that made sense. I mean, it really doesn't sound like a whole big deal, just a communication issue, a minor one. There were definitely times where I couldn't sleep over when I wanted, because of whatever reasons. Or there were times when in a sleepover someone else couldn't stay. It's not really that much of a big deal. Of course, knowing the reason is a good way to reassure the person you are leaving behind, but I'm not sure about how to react. It was all too sudden and unclear. The empty state of your head before learning this was not helping you now. You couldn't help put two thoughts together and flopping back on your bed. You stared into space. We should probably try calling Terry. Cover's voice managed to drag you back to some grounding. He stopped pacing, but you still saw a perturbed look on his face. Is it really something we should get involved with right now? Cover's mouth pressed into a hard line. At the moment, it seemed like the two of you were on very different wavelengths as to how to deal with this.
Come on.
I want to talk to Terry. She's my friend too. Fine, then let's call her. Cover looked away and pulled his phone out. You went over and stood at his side as he was dialing. Cover let it ring and ring and ring. Terry didn't answer. There wasn't even an option to leave a voice message. Your shoulders slumped and Cover looked even more troubled. If that was possible... He turned to you as if for some lifeline. That is kind of troubling. Could you try calling? I'm gonna send a text just like, hey, I was trying to reach you, call me or something. Yeah. You took your phone once more. Unfortunately, after another set of intermingled rings, the line went dead. No answer, no voicemail. Hanging up, you saw Cover visibly deflate. He rubbed his arms, eyes distant, openly struggling with the whole affair. I don't like this at all. They're fighting, we barely know anything, and we're supposed to just wait and see? Despite it only being a minute since he texted Terry, Cover checked his phone again. He was desperate for progress, for something, and he frowned as you watched him. You need to try to relax. It's worrying that she isn't answering right now, however, it only seems so worrying because we just heard of it. She could be, God knows, busy. Cover stared hard at the screen as though he was trying to will a new message to appear. As your words sunk in, his gaze slid over towards you. Just a little bit? Come on, you're working yourself up. Closing his eyes, he took a deep breath and released it slowly. It wasn't much, but you could see him ease up slightly. Yeah, you're probably right. Cover was still gripping his phone with both hands, as though it might fly away if he let go. He looked to you with almost painful earnestness. What do we even say if we do hear from one of them? The pacing resumed as he attempted to answer his own question. We should probably tell them to talk to each other instead of only us, maybe. He slowly came to another halt, like a gear winding down. You wonder why you always have to come up with things. I mean, technically it is something they should go over themselves. But it's also important to know Terry's side of the story. Could be pretty important. Let's just take this for now. Nothing can be done until you knew what she thought of this. Not much was certain. Cover nodded slightly in agreement. For several minutes you both remained there in silence, drowning in your thoughts. Eventually Cover turned around. I'm gonna text Terry that we already know what's going on. Maybe she'll have an easier time talking to us, because she won't have to pretend or explain. Yeah, I am tending for this answer because it is a bit weird. Miranda didn't exactly call us to fix it for her. So Miranda called you asking if Terry had opened up about it, And then she told us about what happened in private. She didn't know if Terry would be okay with any of that. That's also true. It doesn't make it right to do that to her. Terry isn't talking to Miranda at all. If you want to tell Terry, we could still talk to Miranda about it first.
I get it.
Oi, 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 oi. We're getting too worked up about here. We could, but if Miranda wanted it to be a big secret, then she should have just said that. And if she does want to hide it, I don't think we should. Let's still call Miranda. I mean, it shouldn't take much longer of time. It's only fair. For a moment, Covell thought about what you said. Calmly, you added, I'm not saying we can't tell Terry ever, but we would just have to talk to her about it so she understands. A small noise escaped his lips. All the frustration and the situation crumbled away from his face, and he spoke softly. Thanks, Rina. I'm glad it's just not me with all this happening. Covell took one last look at his phone and then put it away. His effort at a smile was meager but earnest.
It's okay.
We can just forget about it for a while. Terry will talk to us when she wants to. That's honestly the best option. Could you leave? Oh no. Let's not give him bad signals now too. That sounds good to me. And you meant it, exhaling some of your own concern away. The last thing you wanted was to fight with Covell, yes. A silence stretched on in what felt like hours. But it likely wasn't that long before there was a knock at your bedroom door and Mom peeked in. Just wanted to check in on you. Oh, Covell, when did you get here? When she saw your morose expressions, she opened the door all the way, and the question was dropped. Mom was standing there as well. She slipped past her wife to come inside your space.
Everything okay?
What's with the long faces? Are you both okay? We're okay. Your body language could not have contradicted you more strongly, and you knew it. You couldn't even lift your eyes off the floor, as though the weight of your worry was dragging your head down. Miranda called earlier. She and Terry are fighting, but none of us know what's going on with Terry. Your parents exchanged a meaningful look. No, its meaning was lost on you. I'm so sorry to hear there's trouble with your friends, sweetie. Is there anything we can do to help? Out of the corner of your eye, you saw Covell rub his arm awkwardly, unable to add anything. No, we're just waiting to see if Terry calls, texts, or if Miranda does. Well, we can at least help you take your mind off things while you are waiting.
Yeah.
Another great idea, Lani. We can get the whole gang together for some quality time. Yes, it will be wonderful. Let's see what Liz is up to right now. Excitedly, she fluttered a few steps away, and then stopped. She pivoted on her heels and raised a single finger, flashing a big smile at Cove.
It's no trouble.
And, of course, Cliff will be welcome too. Knowing your family was always there for you, that couldn't be underestimated. In fact, it meant everything to you that your moms cared so much. Thank you. Yeah, thanks. That's nice of you.
You're welcome.
You're both welcome, very welcome. Don't sweat it. Not so, kiddos. Leave things to us. Just relax and we'll call you when it's all together. You nodded, and your moms dispersed for now, springing into action for their impromptu get-together. You flopped down on your bed, feeling like you could sink into it and disappear. Covell meanwhile took a spot on a chair off to the side. You sighed at the same time, and Covell's mouth pulled into a bent smile at it. He gave his phone another quick check and his eyebrows furrowed. Still nothing? Yep. This is crap, huh? Yep. Covell chewed the inside of his cheeks as if to mimic the stress that was clearly eating away at him. Covell, what's wrong? What's really wrong? One disagreement doesn't make you act like this. He got a pointed pause in his movement. Cobble was carefully trying to put his thoughts together. He spoke in a fragile voice. When people you care about, when they're unhappy with each other, there's nothing you can do. At least, when you're in a fight yourself, you have some responsibility. Some control over it all. I wish it didn't have to happen, but that isn't possible, so oh well, I guess. His attempt at giving a nonchalant shrug after that was pitiable. It is a very difficult situation. You can try to mediate, but that can backfire very ugly. With nothing else to do, your eyes stared down at your own hands, resting on your lap. Then your mouth opened. But is it because of what happened with your parents? You reflected on everything you had learned about Mr. Hall and Kara and their relationship and their son. They went through a lot. Cobble ran a hand through his hair, a strange smile spreading across his lips. For him, this pain struck close to his heart. Just as quickly as it had come, his smile was gone, lost amid his faraway gaze. Yeah, you know what happened. It's like my parents. He whispered his thoughts distantly, almost unconcerned with whether you could hear them or not. They used to fight all the time. I'm sorry.
Rina, don't worry about it.
It's okay. Cobble's gazed reassuringly at you. It's not like that anymore, right? Things are so different now. Better. I don't even really think about it. Again the sorrow reasserted itself. When he continued, you could barely hear him. Though I guess it's pretty obvious I haven't forgotten either. I am not that forward. I think this feels right. He shot up out of his seat as you approached, but didn't resist as you gently took his hand. Your head fell to his shoulder, and you squeezed his hand reassuringly. Now he's crying again. You saw him watching you with glossy eyes. When Coffer signed contentedly, your mouth pulling into a soft smile, wordlessly you knew that he understood. You felt at peace with him there. When he gripped your hand back, you knew that he felt it too. The two of you took a seat again, but this time side by side on your bed. Today was a lot, huh? Yeah, it was. We have the option and we shall take it. Resting the side of your head on his shoulder, you glanced up at his face. Coffer watched you affectionately. In that gentle gaze, you finally felt like everything was going to be okay. No matter what happens, we can make it work. His mouth pulled into a bent smile at that. You chuckled, resting your head comfortably back on his shoulder.
Me too.
I think so too. He couldn't sit still anymore. Coffer leaned in, delicately pressing his lips to your forehead. Andy raised one free hand to lightly touch your jaw. The breath got caught in your throat. When you remembered to breathe, blood rushed to your face, turning your skin a deep red. Your friends are fighting and you're flirting. You tried not to think about how hot you were feeling, because after everything that happened today, you were just grateful for the moment. And for a while you stayed like that. A comfortable quiet fell between you, and the sun fell with it. The warming calm ended when Coffer gasped sharply. You spun, half expecting him to nursing an injury, but instead found him staring straight ahead. What?
Oh my god.
I think my phone just vibrated. Do you want to check? Yeah. He patted his pockets, fumbling in his panic, and yanked the phone out. The force of the action nearly catapulted the device out of his grip entirely, but he caught it just in time. His eyes honed in on the screen. It's Terry. Thank God. She says she's sorry. He looked back at you, eyes wide, as his nerves started to fray once more. What should I say? Yeah, ask her if she's talking to Miranda. Okay. He flashed you a shaky smile as he began to type. You suspected that he had similar thoughts himself, but wanted the reassurance of a second opinion. Cover's phone buzzed nearly as soon as the message was sent. It's Terry again. She's talking to us. You leaned in, watching the conversation unfold on Cover's screen. She's gonna actually call. Cover held his breath as he waited. Though he was good with people, he had never been at ease managing conflict. It's difficult. His phone rang out. Cover jammed the answer button. He answered the phone. He switched the phone into speaker mode, allowing you to participate in the conversation. But despite his immediate reaction, his voice lacked the same resolve when he spoke. Hey. It was tentative, a white flag fluttering in the wind. Rina's here too. Hi. Hey, but... Hey... What was her voice again? Hey, buddies. Terry's voice was barely recognizable without her usually quick patter energy.
Are you okay?
Things okay? I don't know. Probably not. Cover tensed, his free hand coiling to an anxious fist. Can you talk to us about what happened? You heard Terry sigh over the phone as she unburdened herself. Pretty much, I was at Randy's house. We decided to watch some movies she super liked that I'd never even seen before. Turns out there's a lot of those. We watched one, then another, and another. We're having so much fun. Each time one finished, she had another one to share with me. I didn't really think about the time. I only wanted to say yes to Randy and watch her movies. She spoke wistfully, but her words were full of affection. It was Randy, you know? I wasn't thinking about my schedule or what time it was. Yeah. Then I finally saw the time, and oh no, it was way too late. I already knew I couldn't stay. She took a deep breath, her voice becoming softer when she resumed talking. I was so stressed out, I couldn't deal with it. Miranda wanted to help. She kept coming up with ways to make it better and trying to figure out why I was so upset and stuff. I was trying to answer her questions, and there were so many, but I couldn't really answer all of them. I didn't even know why some of her ideas didn't work with me. It made my head ache. I still had the first problem Randy there, trying to help, blasting all these questions and suggestions at me faster than I could even think. She gulped, audibly sniffing. I got frustrated and told her to just leave me alone. But then she wanted to talk about why I wanted that, and we started having a fight in the kitchen. I woke Randy's dad up. We told him how I wanted to go home, but my parents couldn't get me, so Mr. Eckert offered to do it. Oh. I accepted because I definitely couldn't stay then, not after throwing a racket and turning it into a big deal. Well, I felt awful. And embarrassed. Why did I yell at Randy and hurt her feelings? And I made her dad lose sleep by waking him up and having me drive home. What do you say after that? I have no idea. I don't know where to start. And I don't want to make it worse by saying the wrong thing and fighting again. So I'm not talking. Terry, Randy isn't mad that you didn't want to stay or that you fought. She just wants to feel like you can talk to her. I mean, you can say whatever you want. She'll listen. Not talking to her at all is pretty much the only wrong way to go about it. Terry lamented mournfully on the other end of the line, but he had a point. Unless she faced Miranda again, there would be no resolution. He looked at Cove, hunched over the phone. staring pensively into it and searching for a solution. This couldn't be solved with the other key party missing, but what if you brought them in? Your phone was still free. Suggested first. I could call Miranda. You could talk to her with us. Carver brightened up, the concerned furrow on his brow which had taken root when Miranda first called eased.
Well,
That could work. Terry, are you up for it? She made a noise that wasn't a word, but nevertheless conveyed her hesitation and worry. But she brought it to a close with a decisive exhalation, as if pushing all negative thoughts from her body. Alright, I'll do it. Carver nodded. Now that you had received approval from everyone, you pulled out your phone and called Miranda. You set it to speaker and waited for her to pick up. Luckily she did.
Hi.
Hi, Rina. Her voice was still distant, as if her thoughts were elsewhere, but it was loud enough for your needs. Hi. You're on speaker. Terry is on speaker too, on Carver's phone. Oh. She paused while she digested this information. You watched the phone screen, hoping that she wouldn't hang up as a result. Oh, really? Yep, it's Remy. Can you hear my voice all the way from your house to theirs and then mine? I can. You and Carver exchanged looks, waiting for the wall between them to speak, and wondering who would be the one to do it. As the quiet dragged on, you caught Carver chewing his cheek. He must have weighted up the same question as you, whether to encourage the conversation along, or leave Miranda and Terry to resolve it themselves. The answer came from the form of one sniff, followed by another, from Carver's phone.
Sorry.
I'm sorry, Randy. I hope you still like me. Oh boy. What? You were the one acting as if you didn't like me? His tone was defensive, no doubt a result of her wounds from last night still being raw. No way! Everyone likes Randy. You're wonderful. Your eyes met Carver's. His phone was tilted towards you, capturing the call indirectly. You moved your phone closer to his, hoping that the signal was strong enough to convey every nuance of tone. Carver did likewise, bringing his cell right next to yours, even bumping against it as he shifted his grip. I didn't know what to say. That's the only reason I wouldn't talk to you. If you had known the answer, I would have told you right away. Miranda murmured on the other end of the next of the line. You didn't want to You didn't want to stay. Anything I tried to do bothered you, and you could have told me you didn't know. Yeah, I think I was angry at myself. I did the dumb thing, and I didn't want to help with it. I wanted to be mad and just deal with it myself. It made me keep doing dumb things. Oh. Then she spoke again, her voice was quiet, as tender and vulnerable as her words.
I'm sorry.
Staying late watching stuff was all my fault. I had to find a way to fix it. That's why I thought anyway. But I should have given you space. I'm sorry for being pushy and sensitive. Hardly. Miranda echoed having a flaw? I've never heard of such a crazy thing. Miranda let out the ghost of a giggle. Carver cleared his throat. Maybe you should call each other now? Sorry.
Sure.
Can do. Thanks for giving me the kick in the butt to do this already. Randy Mandy, I'm gonna call you right now. Bye, Rina and Cove. She hung up after squeezing in another quick bye, though not giving you or Cover room to respond in kind. Miranda laughed, the noise tickling gently like wind chimes in a summer breeze.
You're really nice.
Thank you for listening and helping. I'm gonna hang up now, so I can answer Terry's call. Bye. Bye, and good luck. Bye. Miranda hung up, still chuckling softly as your call ended. The room felt emptier without the other voices in it. Cover expelled a sigh that crashed through the newly formed silence. He dropped his arms to his sides, letting his head down like a puppet at rest. Thank God. Yeah. Cover scratched at his face, his expression cloudy. I think I need to find better ways for dealing with conflict, because that was awful. We all need to get better at conflict. Cover meekly smiled as he rubbed at his eyes, weariness creeping over him and mumbling his next words. We can talk about it another day. Conflict resolution methods?
Huh?
Oh no, forget it. His eyebrows rose and then a lightning bolt went off in his head. Before Miranda called, didn't you say there was something you wanted to say? Cover's original visit had been thrown off so off-kilter that it was a struggle to wind your memory back to when you'd first turned up. Now that you did though, you remembered that he had been perky when he'd arrived this afternoon. Was it good news? Cover brushed his hands against his new folded arms shyly. Well, yeah, maybe. I'm not exactly sure it counts as news or even good, it just is what it is. I'm happy about it though. You are never going to be the one to push someone else to talk when they seem resilient. It's okay, but it sounds good. Cover chuckled awkwardly, a hand creeping up to ruffle the hair on the back of his head. It's fine if you wanna hear, I can tell you. He shifted on his feet, as if a different posture might give him the support he needed for the conversation. I didn't want to make it a big deal, but I kind of, well, not kind of. I just know what my sexuality is now. Oh. A real subject change, huh? He chuckled. True, it was unexpected, but you were excited that Cover had come to understand himself more, and glad he wanted to share that with you. You clapped your hands softly. And? Cover drew a breath, straightening up. I'm demisexual, so, you know, most of the time I don't really have those kinds of feelings, physical ones and stuff. It's only in some situations when I'm already really emotionally and romantically connected with someone that I start to ever think about anything sexual, and it's only with them. I hadn't heard the term until pretty recently, and it just made a lot of sense once I knew what it meant. I had a word that fit now, how I feel. Congratulations to the asexual umbrella. I already knew about it. And I'm pretty happy about it. I will always trust the person. There's just a special kind of connection if you know that someone is under the same umbrella as you know? Especially in something like sexuality.
Yeah.
And I'm panromantic, cause I've never had a preference for a specific gender or anything, so yeah. You nodded as he spoke, completely understanding how he'd come to that conclusion. Cover looked down at the floor. Being so open and direct about a matter that personal, which you were sure he would spend a long time trying to figure out, seemed to be kind of weird for him. Despite that, there was a small, proud smile on his face, and when he looked up again, his gaze was steadfast. That would be good to know. Though I do have to say that being completely sex repulsed and asexual makes it pretty unlikely for me to be like overbearing to to him, so in that regard. So it's pretty unlikely actually. Let's just say proud. All the sack of Calvin's sexuality made you reflect on your own. Still asexual as fuck. Cov had known for years now. It was heartwarming that he had reached a point where he felt similarly capable of discussing his own. You felt even closer. You felt his tightness deep in the marrow of your bones. It had been a tiring day, now everything was neatly wrapped up, for today at least. And you had earned a rest. You had put some good talks and come out of it not only knowing each other better, but yourself too.
Hey.
Hey, we should probably head downstairs soon, if your moms are still wanting everything to get together. Yeah, that's right. Completely forgot about that. With a renewed spring in your step, you led the way out of your room. You got downstairs to find the others already assembled and waiting.
Hi.
Hello! Hey! Good to see you both.
Hey.
Hi! Here we are, trying to courier everyone into a group, but the two of you were already upstairs the whole time. Of course we were together. You paid Rina to stick with me, or did you not forget? The statement was meaningless to your family, who looked at each other for answers in vain. Mr. Holden, who got the message loud and clear, seemed embarrassed. He chuckled nervously, rubbing the back of his neck. Ouch, son. You always know when to remind me of that one. Uh-huh. I can't let you live it down yet. Can we hear exactly what the secret is? The suspense is killing us.
Right.
Alright, I better get everyone up to speed. He held up his hands, palms out, pacifying his audience, or perhaps holding them up as a shield in advance. That first day I met Rina, I'd been worrying about Cover being alone for the summer.
Well.
There weren't a lot of kids around, and he wasn't exactly one of the best terms with me at the time. He glanced around at your family, gauging their responses. I felt like it was my one shot, so I kind of offered them $20 to be friends with Cover, and added that they couldn't tell him about it. Liz gasped. Ma was staring incredulously at Mr. Holden while Mom's eyebrows had retreated to her hairline. You and Cover already knowing the story were the only ones unaffected. But after a while, I really did honestly forget that it even happened. He raised his hands higher, now level with his shoulders. Not a bad idea, he thought. If Mom felt inclined to throw a cushion at him, he probably managed to block it in time. I know that's bad, but I've had so many grand ideas over the years, it's hard to keep track of them all. Cover smiled, placing his hands on his hips and shaking his head at his father's antics.
Seriously?
I can't believe you, though also I totally can. Your moms were less indulgent. The shock had ebbed away to displeasure. Mom's foot was strapping rapidly as she frowned at the next-door neighbor, while Mom had her arms crossed over her chest and her lips pursed. Ooh, pissed. I'm sorry, Rena. I'm sorry to your parents, too. I was way out of bounds. Don't worry about it. Everything worked out. Your moms gave each other that look, where they seemed to communicate with eyes alone. Well, alright, well, that's that then, and it won't happen again.
Absolutely.
It absolutely won't. Good. It was a little surprising that they were letting him off the hook, but on the other hand, it was a long time memory now, and you were sure your moms remembered those painful early days of Cover's arrival too. Mr. Holden wasn't a potential bad influence anymore, so a lecture would pity mood. Instead, your ma gave him a lenient smile.
In that case,
Now that it's settled, why don't we find something to do? Nods of agreement cascaded through the group in a couple waves at the suggestion. Mr. Holden's shoulders slumped with a release of tension. He brought his hands down, tucking them away into his pockets. How about cards? There was a murmur of interest from the others. Why not? Most of the group was eager to play, but Mr. Holden was demurring. I think I will sit this one out. Where's the fun in that? Join in. We're not too angry with you. Yes, and I know there's a lot of people but we can make it work. Mr. Holden shrunk into himself, embarrassed by the attention. Dad, you love playing cards. We do it at our house all the time. Dad? Mr. Holden broke under the combined force of everyone's attention. Cove, you're an adult now. You deserve to know the truth. I used to throw the card games so you could win. I put up a good fight, but I always made sure to lose a lot more rounds than I won. He toyed with the end of his ponytail, clearly distressed at the second great secret he was revealing today. I know people want to be taken seriously and fake wins don't mean as much, but I couldn't help myself. It's so much better when everyone else got a chance to be victorious. Kyra knew and went along with it. Culver laughed in disbelief that it was the one thing his dad stressed about hiding after the other stunts he pulled over the years. So what? Lots of parents do that. I hadn't guessed it, sure. Now looking back, it makes sense. That's right. What's the big deal, Cliff? You can finally take the kid gloves off and give them a run for their money. Maybe even actual money in your case. Mr. Holden smiled coyly, his gaze lowering. I'm not sure that's a good idea.
Why?
And why not? He waved his hands expansively, the movement fluid and vague. It's just actually, I'm something of a card shark. Used to make lots of fast cash off the games. Casual players don't have a shot unless it's a game of pure luck. Carver's jaw hung open, his eyes wide, fixed on his father. Really? There was a touch of amazement, even admiration nestled among the shock. The other members of the Moan family exchanged looks, ranging from Liz's disbelief to Mom's intrigue, with Ma somewhere in the middle between the two. You can't simply make a claim like that and expect us to go along with it. Let's see you back it up. Let's see you back it up, Sharkman. Mr. Holden gave a crooked smile. His demeanor quickly being replaced with the confidence of someone very skilled or very misguided. You sure about that? Definitely. You got to see the so-called non-casual player in action. Well, I might be able, though who knows? Maybe I've gotten rusty. His kindness continued to rile the gang up, and he was getting a kick out of it now.
Please?
Come on, please. Alright, I can dust off the old tricks. You clapped your hands. Carver beamed at his father while Mom clapped Mr. Holden on the back. Then started off to get a deck of cards while the rest of you settled in for the game. Hands were dealt. Mr. Holden wasted no time providing his words true, wiping the floor with all of you. You played several rounds, even switching games, but none of you were a match for him. That was how the alliance came to be forged. The rest of you joined forces against Mr. Holden, only just to try increasing the odds of beating him. With your combined efforts, you pulled out a few victories, yet it was still a challenge. He was clearly a professional. If these were his skills now, rusty with disuse, you couldn't even imagine what a deadly opponent he had been in the past. Despite that, you still had fun. Working cooperatively actually fostered a sense of camaraderie with others. Mr. Holden didn't appear fazed by his strategy. You actually wondered whether the increased challenge made it more interesting for him. You spent the rest of the afternoon together with your family and the Holdens, having fun. It was an interesting evening for sure, with many discoveries for everyone. It was freeing, and yet simultaneously you felt more tied together than you had been before. And I think this is it for this part. Next time we will do errands then. So until then, bye!